This is Twesa Ngosi with the news on Zodiak, the headlines this hour. The Committee on Natural Resources says Land Act of 2016 in its current form is unimplementable. Local government ministry to change approach on dealing with culprits that flout laws in councils. Magistrate Court in Blantyre commits to High Court for sentencing police officer convicted of raping a girl. And across the borders, South Africa's scientists detect a new variant of COVID-19. Now the news in detail. Chairperson for the Natural Resources Committee of Parliament, Uwelani Chilenga, has suggested that the Land Act of 2016 is unimplementable. Speaking during a panel discussion organized by the National Planning Commission on cost-benefit analysis of implementing the National Land Policy, Chilenga said in their current form, the laws allow everyone to do as they please on land ownership and they contradict at ministerial level. NPC Research Manager Andrew Jamali revealed that the research that the Commission conducted has revealed that if the laws can be critically reviewed, government can get 73 kwacha out of every 1 kwacha that can be invested in land issues, hence agreeing to have clearly defined laws. We have this report by Western Kuta.
A research carried out by the National Planning Commission finds that from investment in land in Malawi, government could soon be realizing 73 kwacha out of each 1 kwacha invested for access to land. National Planning Research Manager Andrew Jamali spoke to us about their findings.
On each of these 2 interventions, then the result is going to be 73 kwacha more. In other words, once land has been titled, it begins to gain value because now it can be used as collateral, it can be sold with a higher amount of money and then secure much more returns.
Gender and traditional norms, where customs deter either women or men from registering and acquiring land, are some of the issues to be incorporated according to the findings. Chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources, Uwelani Chilenga, says Malawi land laws have discrepancies that have led to chaos in land acquisition, such that foreigners are taking advantage. Chilenga said as matters stand now, land laws contradict, giving leeway to abuse. This, he says, originated in 2016 when government passed the laws in the absence of the opposition.
The national land policy is the weakest probably in the region. We have got a land policy that is not assisting in conserving the environment.
Commissioner for Lands Kwame Ngwira says there is need to harmonize related land laws to enable more citizens access and own land in the country. For increased opportunities of investment and benefits, reduced costs on land transactions, and increase in land value, it has emerged there will need to be clear policies, for example, on titling.
Secretary for Local Government Charles Kalemba says government will no longer be transferring council officials who flout laws, but rather instill discipline and dismissals on culprits right at council level. He said this in Blantyre during an orientation of officers from various councils on development projects, which he says will help them use public funds prudently.
We noted that there are certain areas where people know what they are supposed to be doing, but they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So we are also warning each other to say where you are well qualified to do a certain job and you are not doing it the way your qualification requires you to do it, this time forward, we will not tolerate that. Either it will be called incompetence or it will be called what we call criminal negligence. And both have punishments. And therefore, if somebody is misprocuring in Nsanje, we will not transfer them. If people in Nsanje say this guy is misprocuring for us, we will not transfer them. We will deal with them in Nsanje because there is no council which will want a misprocuring officer in Malawi. And therefore, we cannot transfer them. If a DC is failing to be a DC in Mulanje, we will not transfer that DC to Nkhotakota because Nkhotakota also doesn't want a failing DC. And therefore, we should deal with that situation in Mulanje. If it is to fire that person, we will fire them. If it is to demote them, we will demote them. If it is to arrest them, we will arrest them.
Chief Accountant for Chikwawa District Council, Stephen Kanyelele, says lack of coordination between councils and communities sometimes compromises value for money.
To bring in value for money in our projects implementation. Normally, when we are implementing these projects, there are people out there in the community. The common man should really benefit from the project that we are implementing. And it's very important that we are here and we are being incapacitated. Normally, the problem is in the coordination. Like here we are, it's only us, the secretariat, that we are here. And when we take the same message to the communities out there, to our chiefs, to our members of parliament, to our councillors, they think we have a hidden agenda that we want to implement outside the agreed government agenda. So it's that thing that brings us trouble in normal circumstances, because we don't really trust each other. It's the issue of trust.
Board Chairperson of the Roads Authority, Joe Chingani, says some public officials are deliberately sabotaging implementation of construction projects by delaying payments and using vetting methods that take more time. He said this is not only affecting the cost of projects but also time frame for completion of the projects. He made the remarks during the ground-breaking ceremony of the 6-lane Kenyatta Drive Road in Lilongwe. Western Guta has filed this report.
During the launch of the construction of the 6-lane Kenyatta Road, Board Chairperson of the Roads Authority, George Ngani, bemoaned delays in the Ministries of Finance and Transport when paying and vetting contractors, which he said caused unnecessary interruptions and frustration on government projects. Reacting to the development, a governance expert, Victor Chipofia, has described delays in paying and vetting as unreasonable and unpatriotic. Chipofia further said that attributing the delays to IFMIS, for example, is a lame excuse, pointing out that in the past, contractors that had no connections with the ruling party encountered payment delays.
Contractors that are seen to not support the ruling party are the contractors that most of the time have suffered at the hands of the Ministry of Finance.
Minister of Information, who is also government spokesperson, Gospel Kazako, says this is time to commence infrastructure development, having dealt with hunger, and now expects a change in people's approach to issues of national importance.
You saw how the president reacted, because he believes in truth, and he says we should never be scared of truth, because it is only truth that can build us. So there are areas that people would be scared to mention. So the president has embraced that, and certainly there will be change. Minister of Finance is responsible for operating the IFMIS, while the Minister of Transport is responsible for vetting contractors in times of need for carrying out road infrastructure development. For Zodiac, I am Western Guta.
Authorities say there is need to enhance budget discipline in government ministries, departments and agencies which utilize up to 70% of the national budget on procurement. An official from the Ministry of Finance, Davis Sado, said today during a national stakeholder meeting on public procurement held in Lilongwe that in the absence of necessary interventions, public resources shall remain at the risk of plunder. We have this report by Winston Kaimila.
Through the Voices and Actions for Accountability in Malawi project funded by the European Union, various stakeholders met in Lilongwe to share experiences on public procurement. During the event, an official from the Ministry of Finance, Davis Sado, highlighted that government ministries, departments and agencies need to promote transparency and accountability on use of public finances. He said 70% of the national budget is spent on procurement. Hence, the need to have vibrant systems to seal loopholes that lead to fraud and corruption.
The budget which is appropriated in Parliament, a big chunk of it goes towards procurement. And these are public money. It's important always to make sure that we have systems in place, but most importantly, those people who are effecting, those people who are the implementers are aware of what is supposed to be done, and they are following the laid out procedures.
Regional Director for HIVOS, which is one of the implementers of the project, Kennedy Mugoji, expressed hope that sharing of ideas on public procurement will assist on championing best practices.
We're dealing with an old problem around corruption, we are seeking innovative and new ways of tackling corruption. And we've identified that corruption takes place within the public procurement system.
The project is being implemented in 7 districts of the country, which include Dowa, Blantyre and Nzozo. Winston Kaimira reporting for Zodiak.
Minister of Education Agnes Nyalonji has admitted that government is not meeting expectations and demands of many needy students from universities and colleges who need loans. Nevertheless, the minister said government is hard in sourcing more resources in order to provide the loans to more students. She said this in Blantyre when Total Energies awarded 20 students with 80% of their tuition at the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences. Hapenjala Manofar, this report from Blantyre.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen,
Minister of Education Agnes Nyalonji says number of students applying for loan increases each year in institutions of higher learning, making it difficult to satisfy them all.
We're looking to review, for example, the act that governs the loans board to make sure that we take account of those students who are on diploma courses, for example. But in terms of the numbers of needed students versus the resources we have, that is a challenge that all of us Malawians have to face head on. It's a challenge that will continue to be with us because the resources are just not enough.
This was said on Monday in Blantyre when Total Energies Malawi settled 80% of tuition for 20 outstanding students at the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences, MUBAS. The company's managing director, Salamata Bal, says they have been sponsoring students at MUBAS for 50 years now in support of national development.
On top of this award that we've been giving, we're also launching a mentorship program to support these students and help them transition better between the university and the professional life.
Financial challenges for MUBAS needed students have reached an extent that concerned students and other institutions carry out resource mobilizations activities to support their fellows.
Still on education, Deputy Minister of Education Madalitso Kambaua Wirima says a chevening scholarship by the British government could help Malawi in achieving her Malawi 2063 development blueprint. During a send-off of the 2021-2022 cohort of chevening scholars in Lilongwe, the Deputy Minister said the country needs diversity on skills enhanced through higher learning institutions to meet objectives in development vision. Acting British High Commissioner Fiona Ritchie says they have managed to make the initiative a success despite challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. Zuleika Nangul filed this report.
Ministry of Education says the British government's chevening scholarship to 10 Malawians who, among others, assist Malawi in attaining its long-term goals, Malawi 2063. Speaking during a send-off of the 2021-2022 cohort in Lilongwe, the Deputy Minister of Education, Madalitso Kambaua Wirima, says the beneficiaries will help several aspects of development in the country.
If we are going to achieve the goals that are set out in the Malawi 2063 agenda, moving forward as a country, we are going to need different skills that are at higher level, at a university level, a master's level, that will actually allow us to be able to meet the objectives that we have set out in the agenda. So our young ones going to Britain, and that in turn is going to help out with the implementation of the Malawi 2063 agenda.
Acting British High Commissioner Fiona Ritchie has since asked scholars to work hard and return to Malawi after studies.
I really expect that they're going to go to the UK and have the most incredible time and get to know my country, get to know my country's people. And I expect that they will study hard, make new friends, build new networks, represent their own country and bring back the most incredible skills and experience to help Malawi better itself in the future. I'm absolutely delighted that despite the challenges of COVID, we've been able to make it possible for young Malawians to continue to go to the UK to study.
The Chevening Scholarship is an international program funded by the British Foreign and Commonwealth Office that let foreign students with leadership qualities study at universities in the United Kingdom. It started in 1983.
You're watching the news here on Zodiac. We'll be back with more after this.
Come to ShowBread for a more low price birthday. This year we're giving you more savings and more deals so you can fill your trolley with everything you need, all at our low prices. Like 400 grams cowbell milk powder, just 2,999 kwacha 99 tambala. And 1 kg Right Brand smooth peanut butter, just 2,599 kwacha 99 tambala. Don't miss out on our low price birthday. Only at ShopRite.
Please, hide me. Hide me.
Ian, why are you hiding?
I took some money on Caterpillar from that guy.
Really?
Yes.
Why did you have to take some Caterpillar from that guy, Ian?
I just needed a ticket to a music concert.
Come on, Ian. You need to have some valid reasons on why you want to borrow some money. And why are you taking some money from Caterpillar when there are some registered institutions in this country? You can go to banks, you can join some circles. There are microfinance institutions out there where you can go and borrow some money. And the good thing with these institutions is that when you go to borrow some money, they advise you on how much money you can borrow, comparing with your income. And there are also some terms and conditions you need to understand before borrowing some money. Okay. The issues of interest rates, the issues of a repayment plan, how are you going to be servicing the loan, the issues of collateral. All these things, they are clearly laid out when you go to these registered institutions than taking money from that Caterpillar guy. This is an embarrassment. Ian, he is coming.
Borrow wisely. Pay back your loans. Always read and understand the terms and conditions before signing any financial contract.
We are Charismatic Private School. Charismatic Private School is informing the general public that it is opening day and boarding school at Filipina Memorial School. Charismatic School has kindergarten, primary and secondary school. The school has school buses which ferry learners around Lilongwe. Charismatic School has conducive learning environment suiting your child. Charismatic School is situated at Area 22B and Kapini, while Filipina Memorial Boarding School is situated at Area 23, Benito, Lilongwe. For more information, contact Charismatic School on the following numbers. Charismatic Filipina, creating brighter society.
Sompenya amalawi watukula malawi 2063 akale wozimira bae ufika 2063 akale wokomera aliyense achinyamata tigwira ne manja tukula malawi achinyamata tikale patsogo tukula malawi 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 wozimira bae malawi malawi wokomera aliyense Malawi 2063 kusinda dziko lathu mokomera aliyense.
Mona Malawi anzanga, nkhondo yogonjetsa COVID-19 ndi ya wina aliyense. Tili limodzi. Ine ndinasankha kulandira katemera wa COVID-19 atangoyamba kuperekedwa. Chifukwa monga na mwino, moyo wanga, umoyo wa odwala amene ndimawasamalira, abale anga, ndi dera langa, ndi zinthu zomwe ndimazika pa mtima panga kwambiri. Katemera wa COVID-19 anditeteza ine ndi ena omwe analandira katemerayo ku chiopsezo choti tingadwale mwakayakaya, kugonekedwa mchipatala, kapena kutaya moyo wathu chifukwa cha COVID-19. Kulandira katemerayo kutithandiza kuthana ndi mliri wa COVID-19 limodzi.
Ziwani zambiri za katemerayo ndi kupanga chisankho cha nzeru. Sankhani katemera, tetezani tsogolo.
Welcome back. A look at the headlines as we continue. Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources says Land Act of 2016 in its current form is unimplementable. Local government ministry to change approach on dealing with culprits that flout laws in councils. Magistrate Court in Blantyre commits to High Court for sentencing police officer convicted of raping a girl. And across the borders, South Africa's scientists detect a new variant of COVID-19. Moving on with the news, the First Grade Magistrate Court in Blantyre has convicted police officer Andrew Chagaga to High Court for sentencing. Chagaga was convicted a few weeks ago of raping a girl twice while in custody at Limbe Police Station. State lawyer Trevor Mpalale says they expect the High Court to melt a stiffer sentence on the convicted police officer in order to curb sexual abuses against girls. Christopher Sunday was at the court and he reports.
Convicted police officer Andrew Chagaga looked so composed in court on Tuesday as the magistrate was reading his ruling on the application which the state made to commit the police officer to High Court for sentencing. In his ruling, Magistrate Sokabanda agreed with the state that the convicted police officer took advantage of his position to rape the girl twice while in police custody at Limbe Police Station and later dumped her in the street during odd hours. He then ruled that Chagaga be committed to High Court for sentencing. Trevor Mpalale is the state lawyer.
Looking for stiffer penalty for the convict, Mr. Andrew Chagaga. The reason being that the lower court, which is the magistrate court in this case, had jurisdiction to penalize the convict to 14 imprisonment. But as the state, we feel like with the common trends of sentencing, especially in deforming cases, the average now is between 20 to 30 thereabout. So looking at rape and deformment, we feel like they are both sexual offenses which carry the same penalty, maximum penalty, which is life imprisonment.
Mpalale added that this means that Chagaga's files will be taken to High Court for sentencing. Reporting for Zodiak from Blantyre, this is Christopher Sunday.
Education authorities in Rumpi say they are working on an inventory to come up with what is urgently needed to keep the office running, as they also devise ways to recover the 5.8 million worth of cash for what was destroyed during the Monday night fire that destroyed the district's education office. Director of Education, Youth and Sports Macfin Mzumara says their preliminary report suggests they need about 26 million to purchase new furniture and office equipment and about 100 million kwacha towards renovation of the structure. Angela Mkandawile with the report.
It has been established that 5.8 million kwacha cash was also raised down during a fire that raised down the district education office in Murumbi district Monday night, funds that were collected from schools' examination center administration fees. Currently, the Office of the Director of Education, Youth and Sports for the district says it is working on an inventory to come up with the urgent need to keep the office running, as they also devise on ways to recover the lost money, where 2.4 million kwacha of it still had serial numbers visible and has since been sent to the Reserve Bank of Malawi. District Director for Education, Youth and Sports, Macfin Mzumara, has since appealed to well-wishers to provide his office with any kind of support, as they are currently operating from a teacher development center which doesn't have furniture and other office equipment such as computers.
What is critical now is that we must have space where to work. So when the analysis, the assessment is finally done, I think the experts will advise what will be done, and the ministry will be in the best position to advise us based depending on the resources.
After visiting the bent structure, Minister of Education Agnes Nyalonje said although the incident has happened during the key time in the life cycle of education, with examination preparations currently underway, her ministry will do everything possible to ensure that examinations are not endangered. She, however, acknowledged that the fire accident has provided a learning point to government on the need of having government structures ensured to get cover in the event of such calamities.
But you can take precautions to make sure that when incidents like this happen, then you know you're protected. For one thing, we'll be looking at issues like insurance, because if these offices were insured I think the story would be slightly different, because we would know that we would get some relief almost immediately, maybe, to start rebuilding, whereas now we have to start somewhere else.
Currently, the actual cause of the fire has not yet been established, although there are speculations that the fire might have started from an electrical fault. For Zodiac, this is Angela Mkandawere.
Now we turn to sports. A 26-year-old Lilongwe-based man with smiles all the way to the bank in cash to cash in a staggering 27 million kwacha after he got right his predictions for various fixtures in European fixtures over the just ended weekend. Bright Banda, a graphic designer who hails from Namitete in Lilongwe, used 400 kwacha to place his bets for about 20 games. In placing his bets about 20 games in the English, French, Italian, Spanish, German and other leagues at Area 49 proper Premier Bet shop. Meanwhile, Premier Bet Limited has encouraged people to bet only when they have sorted all their financial demands in their households. Sam Banda has more in this report.
Barely 3 weeks into the new international football campaign, an opportunity for a sound financial backup has landed on Bright Banda, a Lilongwe-based graphic designer aged 26, who will receive 27 million kwacha from Premier Bet Limited for giving the correct results of over 20 fixtures over the past weekend. Banda, who comes from Namitete, spent only 400 kwacha at a Premier Bet shop in Area 49 proper to place his bets for some games in top European leagues, including predicting a win for Manchester City, who thumped Arsenal 5-0, and PSG's 2-0 victory over Reims in the French league during Lionel Messi's debut for the French heavyweights.
I'm a very happy man. It's something I never expected. It's more like a miracle. I'm very much excited. Since I'm a graphic designer, I'm spending my priority is spending this money on buying equipment, designing equipment, and then the rest will follow, other businesses. I was only trying out. I didn't expect I could win. And when I was betting, I was just betting for a try because, 27 million kwacha is a lot of money. I didn't expect to win such money.
Premier Bet overall shops manager Patrick Caridozo says Bright Banda's win is motivation for other football fans, but insists betting shouldn't be considered as a full-time job as evidenced by other people's addiction.
We are urging our customers. It is a very big motivation to our customers, and we are just urging them to come in large numbers since a lot of leagues have resumed. So we are urging each and every customer, wherever he is, to come to a nearby shop, a nearby retailer, to place his bet. Of course, we are not urging them to take money that is planned for some other businesses. They have to make a proper budget. Whatever money that is left, that they can use as a fund money, that's what they can come to Premier Bet and place a bet on it.
Last season, the company spent over 350 million kwacha in dishing out cash prizes to lucky winners across the country.
And finally, across the borders, South Africa's scientists have detected a new variant of COVID-19, which they say has the potential to be a variant of concern. The new variant C12, which was first detected in May, has now been found in at least 6 of the country's 9 provinces. Scientists have found it spreads at the same rate as the country's current dominant Delta variant. At a media briefing, the National Institute for Communicable Diseases said the new variant might be able to partially evade the immune response, but vaccines will still offer high levels of protection against hospitalization and death. It added that although it is currently not a variant of concern, such as the Delta strain that can cause severe illness, it is highly transmittable. And that's what we had time for in this edition of the news. But before we go, a look at the headline stories. Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources says Land Act of 2016 in its current form is unimplementable. local government ministry to change approach on dealing with culprits that flout laws in councils. Magistrate Court in Blantyre commits to High Court the sentencing of a police officer convicted of raping a girl. And across the borders, South Africa's scientists detect a new variant of COVID-19. Visit our website zodiacmalawi.com for more news. My name is Twesa Ngosi. From the rest of the news crew, thanks for watching and bye for now.